Well, Sunday is Global Hand Washing Day, aimed at raising awareness about the importance of washing one's hands with soap. Well, this campaign was started to help reduce childhood mortality rates and disease. We're joined by Greg Smith. He's the sales director at hygiene solutions company Rentokil Initial. It sounds like a pest control company, but I suppose in a way you are. Morning, Greg.
Morning, hi.
All right, well, let's talk about, I suppose, hand hygiene is what we're talking about. How do we fare in South Africa in terms of good habits?
I think it's a bit difficult to say because, habits are I think, formed when kids are young. And I think one of the initiatives that we're working on is trying to form these habits as young kids. I think we generally are okay, but by African standards. But I think certainly by global standards, we have a long way to go. I think, sometimes we don't suspect the highest amount of germs are in the most unlikely places. So sometimes, the door handles of offices and laptop computers like yours, like the one you have there, are most common sources of sickness and infection. So, yeah, that's I think one of the realities of life, I think.
Well, you commented on our hygiene here. You say you were happy to see that we have one of those sanitizers at the entrance to the office. Now, is that becoming standard practice? Is that something that every single company, business, maybe even households, we know hospitals have them, but every other place should be following suit?
Look, as a business, we suggest that to corporates. I mean, you can imagine the amount of people going through your office every day. It's estimated that a disease can spread through an office probably in around 4 hours, and you'd probably have 60 to 70 of the people infected with the sickness. So it can be quite bad, but also, with many initiatives to save water, not only in the Western Cape, but also in provinces around the country. This is becoming very popular. It's also a lot more, most of the time it's portable, so, easy to move around. So very good in terms of that and very convenient. So yeah, it's becoming very popular and you find it more and more at access points around the country. Well,
very worrying figures about child mortality rates and diseases that are spread this way. Just enlighten us. Tell us what you're seeing and how serious it actually is.
So, if you ever look at the mortality rates at the moment, in 2015, around 6 million kids under the age of 5 died, of which approximately 10% is accredited to diarrhea. Now, if you consider that diarrhea can be prevented with hand washing, regular hand washing and correct hand washing, it's quite a scary phenomenon. So that equates to around 1,400 children dying per day, 500,000 a year. It's significant. And if you then look at the realities of mortality in Africa, a child in Africa has 7 times more chance of dying before the age of 5 than in any other country around the world. So hand hygiene is very important to our business particularly, but also as something that we support. And that's really why we are one of the biggest supporters of Global Hand Washing Day, which really is quite, it's an advocacy day which is celebrated every year. And it's the intention of which is to educate people that soap is still the most effective way of preventing these kinds of illnesses and sicknesses. And it sounds very simple, but it is a reality. It's the most effective, cost-effective and affordable way.
Are schools doing what they need to be doing in terms of hygiene? You speak of kids and your first thought is school, primary school, probably nursery school, creches and that kind of thing.
I think the short answer is probably not as much as we would like, because I think the challenge you face is that the frequency with which the hands need to be washed, if you consider that you may go outside, play and touch something which has germs on it, that's critical to wash your hands at the right occasions. I also think that in terms of schools, it's about forming that behavior at a young age. So that's why we are embarking on one of our initiatives, which is, to kind of encourage that learning with kids. Where today, yes, it's not Sunday, we do it 2 days before we celebrate the official day, but today we'll be washing the hands of around 50,000, well, we'll be washing around 50,000 hands, so 25,000 children will have their hands washed. We'll teach them how to wash their hands.
They'll continue to do it after that.
So we'll teach them good sort of etiquette around hand washing, because a lot of the time people go and wash their hands and run out, but there's actually quite a lot of detail around how you should wash your hands.
Okay, well, there's not a lot of time, I suppose, to do it, but we should take the time to do it. But I want to ask you, Greg, and I understand the importance of this. I understand in terms of safety and health. But you get those other experts who say you need a bit of germs. You've got to build immunity. Kids have to have something. You've got to, let the germs and teach the body to fight. So what do you say to that?
Well, look, I think you can imagine that you cannot keep a child washing his hands every 5 minutes, because he will touch a cup that So I think it's about creating an environment that you educate the child how to wash their hands. When they do wash them, they wash them properly, and they wash them at the right time. So before meals, after the use of the bathroom, generally when they come from outside, play areas, those types of things are infested with germs. of course, you can never prevent them from having access to germs, but you need to limit the frequency with which they have to be exposed to germs like diarrhea, which are deadly.
Yeah. Well, you talk of kids, but it worries me that I've seen some adults go to the toilet and walk straight out. Very worrying. I don't know how we're going to help
The
them.
numbers are scary. They say only 20% of people wash their hands when they leave the toilet.
That's very scary. Okay, all right. We're going to leave it there, and I'm not going to shake your hand because I've been playing with the keyboard. Thank you very much, Greg Smith, Sales Director at Rent-A-Kill Initial South Africa. Well, we'll catch up with the JSC at 9 o'clock as usual. A quick look at some numbers for you now.
Thank you.